Oh, yeah. Is it Tuesday already? Ahsoka Season 2 leaks are back. We're talking about an entire war, an ancient war, on the planet of Peridia. Nightsisters, Mortis gods, Abeloth, and so much more. These leaks are absolutely insane. We, of course, are still getting hyped up for Maul's Shadowlord, which now releases on April 6th with a 10-episode series, 2 episodes per week, and the finale being on May the 4th. And we got to talk about Star Wars Starfighter. No legacy characters. No Mara Jade. No Luke Skywalker. No Rey. No Ben Solo. No somehow Kylo Ren has returned. We'll talk about that. And the Mandalorian and Grogu might be getting a trailer next week. Not the Super Bowl, but next week. We'll talk about those leaks as well. But without further ado, let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's it been doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon? Ahsoka Season 2 leaks just keep on coming. And I know we're getting hyped up for Maul's Shadowlord, which comes out in about, I don't know, in a couple months. And The Mandalorian and Grogu, which comes out in a couple months. But Ahsoka Season 2 is probably going to end off our year in the fall and into the winter. However, when it comes to plot, when it comes to the information that we know about these 2026 Star Wars projects, Ahsoka Season 2, at least from a leak perspective, and again, take all these leaks with a giant grain of salt because they are just leaks for now and not confirmed by anything. But from a leak perspective, we have so much more information about Ahsoka Season 2 than The Mandalorian and Maul Shadowlord combined. Because we got some stuff about Thrawn and Dathomir and all the concept art images from Dave Filoni back at Star Wars Celebration in 2025 in Japan. And we have these insane leaks about Peridia, which is what we're going to be talking about again today, because these new leaks are just wild. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about The Mandalorian and Grogu, and of course, Starfighter, because Mara Jade is crossed off on our thumbnail for today. Yeah, we'll talk about all of it. We'll talk about all of it. But until then, but before we do that, let's start by saying hi to everybody in the chat, shall we? I know this weekend, a lot of people, at least I did personally, got a ton of snow, an absolute ton of snow. I think we got 20 inches here, which is wild. So I've been shoveling all weekend, Fun. It's cold. It's really, really cold. I feel like I'm living on the planet of Hoth right now. So, yeah. All right, let's say hi to everybody in the chat. Max Rebo, how we doing? Brandon Baker in the house. Padme, what is up? Holly, how we doing? Ian in the building. Kyler, what is up? Steve, how we doing? Harrison, what is up? Droopy McCool is, of course, with us as always. Cleve Morris, how we doing? Melissa, what is up? Skywalker Academy, how we doing? John Groom in the building. Papa Boz, how we doing? Mr. Green in the building. Jar Jar Jargoon. Okay, great name. How we doing? Darth Plagueis lives in the building. John, what is up? All right, if I missed you, you know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little...
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
All right, so we're definitely starting with the Ahsoka Season 2 leaks because... Come on. Ahsoka Season 2 has me the most excited by far in 2026, even though it's probably the furthest project away. And these leaks just got me ridiculously excited. However, we will talk about the Maul Shadowlord stuff. We will talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu. But before we even talk about anything, I got to show you guys this. This is so unbelievably cool and exciting for Star Wars fans, just in general for Star Wars fans. This is great news. So before we get into any leaks, rumors, whatever, this is facts, this is greatness, and this is huge news for Star Wars fans. Take a look at this. The Mandalorian, the Maul Shadowlord trailer, which posted a couple days ago, late last week, right here on YouTube. See this, chat? You see this, chat? Currently has 3.5 million views, which is a shit ton for an animated series, and it is number 3 on movie trending charts. Now, strangely enough, it's not a movie, but still, number 3. We are now, what's today? Tuesday. It came out on Thursday. Yeah, it came out on Thursday. So we're 5 or 6 whatever days out since this trailer dropped, and it's still sitting at number 3 on the trending charts. So talk about great news for Star Wars fans. The hype for Star Wars that people think is completely gone is right there in front of your face. When something awesome like Maul Shadow Lord gets its first teaser trailer, the fans are going to come and watch it. And it's number 3 on trending charts after over 5 days of being released. That's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good. I like the looks of that. So there you have it. Maul Shadow Lord is still sitting at number 3 on the trending charts. And of course, we'll watch that trailer later because it's awesome. And I've watched it like 7 billion times. But let's talk about Ahsoka Season 2. Before we look at these leaks, I'm going to put up a poll. Let's put up a poll. All right, let's start it with this. Are you excited? Oh, that's not how you spell that. Are you excited for Ahsoka Season 2? And then tell me in the chat, well, yes or no. And then tell me in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for Ahsoka Season 2? Scale of 1 to 10. What are we at? What are we at? The He-Man trailer has 20 million views in a couple days? No way. Is that real? What's it called? The Master of something? Master of... No. The He-Man trailer. Let's just look that up. He-Man trailer 2026. Masters of the Universe. I was right. Masters of the Universe. Wow. It has 28 million views in 5 days. That's actually crazy. That's insane. That's like more than Marvel numbers. How's that even possible? Okay. Going back though. Let's talk about these. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for Ahsoka Season 2? We got a bunch of 10 out of 10s, 7 out of 10, 0 out of 10. Okay. 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9.9999, or sorry, 9 million, 9, whatever. A lot. 10 out of 10, can't wait. Okay. So some pretty high scores. Some pretty dang high scores. I'm at a 10 out of 10, easy. Ahsoka Season 2, no question about it. Way more excited than I am for Mandalorian and Grogu and Maul Shadow Lord. Now, will I be, corrected? Will Maul Shadow Lord and the Mandalorian and Grogu both be better than Ahsoka Season 2? Possibly. But the setup that we have from Ahsoka Season 1 is clearly got me more excited for these than these other projects. I'm at 11 for Maul Shadow Lord. My hype level went through the roof for Maul Shadow Lord when that trailer dropped. However, still more excited for Ahsoka Season 2. Okay, let's talk it up. Ahsoka is overused. Let's talk about that comment for a second. Do you agree with Mr. Marvel Studios in the chat? Is Ahsoka overused? Because it took, when was Ahsoka created? 2008? 2006? 2005? When did the Clone Wars movie release? Can't be 2005. That's when Revenge of the Sith came out. 2008? So Ahsoka is a character that's been around for 18 years. 18 years. In the 18 years, she has been a main character of the Clone Wars. She's been a side character in Rebels. She was one of the main characters of Tales of the Jedi, which is a 6-episode short film, a short series. And she's been a very, very side character, brief cameo appearance in The Mandalorian. And now she's got her own show. When you compare her to a character like Luke Skywalker, Han, Leia, Anakin, Obi-Wan, she's probably on the tier underneath those characters in terms of use, in terms of screen time. But she's definitely up there. She's definitely up there. She's in the second tier of used characters. She's a main one for sure. She's the apprentice to the chosen one himself, the main character himself, Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader. But I sit here, as Ahsoka is my second favorite character of all time, and say, absolutely not. Ahsoka is not being overused. We are not getting nearly enough Ahsoka, in my personal opinion. And I think Ahsoka Season 2 might be the last time we ever see Ahsoka, but that's just not that she's going to die. I don't think she's going to die. I don't think she's going to die. But I think we won't see Ahsoka for a long time after Ahsoka Season 2 because she will remain on Peridia, and we'll talk about that. But, okay, continuing. Let's talk about these leaks. So this is coming from Morai the Messenger, where we've gotten a ton of our leaks. Not all, but a lot of our leaks. And we'll see again. Take it with a giant grain of salt because it may not be true, as all leaks tend to be. But this does piggyback off of the concept art images and leaks that we've seen before. Actually, hang on. Let me pull up what I'm talking about here really quickly. Because we've gotten these giant droid creatures, for lack of a better word, in the concept art images that look like this. These are some sort of giant droids that will be on Peridia that seemingly we've come to the conclusion are protectors of whatever Baylan Skoll is looking for. Whether it's Abeloth in a prison or something else, these guys will be in the way. They'll be the guardians of whatever this power truly is on Peridia. I assume that is going to be Abeloth, but there are other options, I suppose. And here you have Ahsoka and Sabine fighting multiple of these droid creatures who are wielding what look to be Nightsister magic swords like Morgan Elsbeth was in Season 1. So those guys, those creatures, were originally concept art images for the Clone Wars and now have been reutilized for Ahsoka and the Nightsisters. Now, let's get to this leak. Semi-spoilery, so again, if this is true, it's kind of spoilery. Someone recently sent us some more images from the set of Ahsoka Season 2, where we see this skull in concept art from Star Wars Celebration and in set models that Dave Filoni has shown us in a streamed panel. So this is the concept art image that they're talking about from Star Wars Celebration. Ahsoka and Sabine walking up some sort of mountain where this head-like thing is there. We don't know what it's made of. It kind of looks like a tree to me in this concept art, but again, it's very, very blurry and hard to tell. This was what was shown at Star Wars Celebration in Japan. So this is concept art image from Dave Filoni himself. This is not just speculation. This right here is actual concept art for the show. Going back here. We believe this is actually a buried metal head, or maybe even a full body, of one of those kanju, sort of the big droids that has rusted and rotted over thousands of years. We'll get to that in a second. Perhaps it was a casualty of a war that turned Peridia into this wasteland. That's a sick-looking piece. The mouth almost looks like it's could be a secret tunnel entrance to something. More to come. So let's take a look at this. This was the set piece that was leaked out. There's actually two of them, it looks like, because these are two. Maybe they're the same. It's just a weird perspective or weird POV look at this right here. But this is very, very similar, as you can see from the side profile here, 1, 2, and you assume that there's two other ones on the opposite side. 4 eyes, just like our nice little creatures right here with the 4 eyes. And then there's some sort of like goatee mask looking thing at the bottom here. I'm not quite sure what that is, but some sort of breathing mask thing. And in this set piece, that breathing mask thing is either deteriorated or is completely gone, and you have just the head for now. So if this is in fact metal, if this is in fact a droid that has, I guess, deteriorated over the course of 1,000 or thousands of years, this could change the entire way we look at Ahsoka Season 2. The entirety of Peridia in this new galaxy. The Nightsisters, the Mortis gods, Abeloth, and everything. There could be this massive war that happened on Peridia with the Nightsisters that ended in all of them dying in this, what used to be, as Balin Skull described it, a kingdom turned into a wasteland. Because Peridia is a wasteland. It's all just it's not a desert, but it's a wasteland. There's nobody living there anymore except for these marauders, which maybe their appearance might be significant. Shin Hati now being the leader of them, or at least that's where we left her off in season 1. All of that might become a lot more important as we go on. Very Bendu-ish. That's very true, Harrison. Great point. I never thought of that. Very Bendu-ish. This, especially how it's sort of brown and rusted, that is very Bendu-ish. However, this implies that we could be getting a explanation, hopefully, of some big old war that happened. Who was in charge of both sides? Was it Abeloth that just completely destroyed this entire kingdom of Nightsisters? What the Mortis God connection is? Because if there are these deteriorating droids, massive droids, like to put this into scale, this is Ahsoka and Sabine standing next to it. They're tiny. And this is Ahsoka standing next to one of the, I guess, living ones. If you could say that a droid is living. Either way, this being a deteriorated version and now getting a way clearer look from this leak, that looks metal to me. Not wood, not like a tree, not even a stone carved. Like, we have Mortis God statues on Peridia. So whoever was there, they worshipped the gods enough to make statues of them. And this doesn't look like that. This looks like metal, rusted, and dissolving or deteriorating over time, over thousands and thousands and thousands of years. We've just barely scratched the surface. This right here implies that we've barely scratched the surface on what Peridia is going to be. The history there, and honestly, if this is Abeloth, how powerful she truly is. How are you going to convey, how are you going to show the audience how powerful a character like Abeloth is? For example, in Legends, this character is by far one of the most powerful beings the galaxy's ever seen. Most normie fans, probably 99.9%, don't even know the name Abeloth. So how are you going to introduce that character and introduce her in such a way that makes it known immediately that she is the most powerful being we've ever seen? More powerful than Palpatine, more powerful than Vader, way more powerful than all these Sith Lords we've seen before. How do you convey that right away? Well, you show that this entire wasteland, what was once a thriving kingdom of Nightsisters, what once had these massive droid-like creatures wandering around or helping out or whatever, and Mortis gods that we've seen from the Clone Wars, had to run away and imprison this being because she was that powerful. You can't have her get released and just start killing everybody. As much as I love killing off characters, apparently, I wouldn't have her kill Sabine or Ahsoka or Shin Hati or Balin Skull even. So how are you going to show the audience that she is powerful without killing off Ahsoka, without killing off Sabine and Huge Wang? You would have to show something else. And let me get to this super chat because Darth Plagueis actually brings up a great point here. Ahsoka hype. What are the chances we get a flashback on Peridia? Very generous $5 holla. I appreciate that, Darth Plagueis. Super chats, memberships, keep the lights on over here. What are the chances we get a flashback? I think pretty damn high. Think about it. The only way you can show how powerful Abeloth is without having her go back to the main galaxy and just annihilate everybody is to introduce a brand new galaxy like Ahsoka Season 1 did and have her wipe the entire thing out. This great new galaxy we have arrived to, where we've only been introduced to one planet on that in that entire galaxy, what if this whole universe is just dead. Nobody lives on any planets unless they're like marauders or stragglers like we see on Peridia, because everybody, probably thousands and thousands of years ago, was killed by one being. And I guess to stop that, to stop it from getting over to a different galaxy, the Mortis gods had to imprison her. And you could even connect it to the Nightsisters. Out of necessity, they learned to ride the Purgle. Out of their own ability to live, they had to transport themselves to a different galaxy. I think of this sort of in a parallel to Kal-El. Does anybody know who Kal-El is in the chat? Kal-El, probably more known from his human name, Clark Kent, or his superhero name, Superman. Do we know who Superman is, chat? Superman, or Kal-El, was born on Krypton. And Krypton was, being destroyed, so his parents sent him to Earth. And, well, the rest is history, of course. He's Superman. But this, I think, is a very similar story. The Nightsisters see that their entire universe is being destroyed by this being, by Abeloth. And they hop on Purgle and get the hell out of there. They find their way to a different galaxy to survive. And that's why the Nightsisters are only on Dathomir, because that's where they landed. That's where they arrived at. And they don't have the ability to get off planet, at least not at first. And that's why they've been there for so long. The history of the Nightsisters is something that's so incredibly interesting because they use the Force so differently from the Jedi and the Sith. And to explain that, they added an entire universe to the Star Wars universe, or galaxy, to the Star Wars universe. A completely different galaxy to explain where these beings came from, to explain why they use the Force differently. And this would actually give you the opportunity to show why they came to this galaxy and how with the Purgle. But we already knew that. So why did the Nightsisters leave their own home to come to a different galaxy? Because their entire world was destroyed in a massive war that Abeloth absolutely won, and won big time. And the Mortis gods had no choice but to imprison her until thousands and thousands and thousands of years later, when the Mortis gods died, thanks to, Anakin, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan. Well, I guess it wasn't their fault, but, they all died. And now she's capable to call out to a nice being named Baylan Skoll, manipulate him, and have him come to Peridia and free him. Thoughts? Thoughts? Superman? Now that's a name I haven't heard in a long, long time. Going back to Darth Plagueis' super chat, will there be flashbacks? I certainly hope so, because there's no other way. If you're going to be walking around Peridia seeing, I guess, deteriorating metal statues, or I guess not really a statue, but deteriorating metal, oops, wrong thing. This, helmets of a droid, a massive droid, and you have the Mortis God statues that we saw at the end of Season 1, you have to explain the beings that lived here before, the Nightsisters. You have to explain their backstory. You have to explain what happened here. You can't just leave us on a big old cliffhanger and not explain what happened. So Season 2 will do that. Now, the only person I can think of that would explain this would be Baylan Skoll. Hu Yang only knows as much as he knows. He knows the existence of this planet. He knows the existence of this universe just from legends that the Jedi had in his memory banks, but he doesn't know what happened here. He wouldn't. So it would have to be Baylan Skoll, because he seems to be the only one who knows. At least he plays very coy with the idea in Season 1, but he knows. He knows something we don't know. We'll put it that way. And at some point in season 2, while we're getting this whole Thrawn versus the New Republic war in our Star Wars in the other galaxy, there has to be some sort of explanation for what's happening on Peridia, what happened on Peridia. Because stuff like this needs an explanation. I get that we've been talking about for weeks and weeks now, these giant droids that Ahsoka's going to go toe-to-toe with in season 2, or Ahsoka and Sabine, I should say, are going to go toe-to-toe with in season 2 in some sort of temple-looking thing, possibly prison guards for Abeloth. That has to be explained, and sure, that's cool. We've been talking about that for a while now, but these are living droids. These are droids we know are going to be there. This is very different. This is thousands of years ago, these droids were taken out by something more powerful than them. What do we think? There's no Abeloth so far, so no evidence for Abeloth so far. How do we know that it's her? Maybe they're fighting, it's a fight between the daughter and the son. Well, the problem with that is the daughter and the son are both dead. Ahsoka, is pretty much the living embodiment of the daughter now, because as she was dying, Anakin puts the life essence of the daughter into Ahsoka. But the son and the father are both dead. All the Mortis gods die in that 3 or 4 episode arc in the Clone Wars. So they're all gone. So it can't be that. We could get flashbacks to the Mortis gods. Absolutely. But they're all gone. Now, what evidence do we have to suggest Abeloth? Great question. The Mortis god statues are a big thing, but my biggest piece that suggests Abeloth is what Baylan Skoll said in season 1. That this power that he searches for, that's calling out to him, that's what he says, calling out to him, is going to end this cycle of good versus evil. Meaning, whatever power he searches for is more powerful than Thrawn, more powerful than Palpatine and the Empire and the Death Stars and all that greatness, more powerful than 10,000 Jedi in the Republic, more powerful than all of it. The ability to end that cycle of good versus evil. And the only person from Legends, singular person that could be calling out to Baylan, that has connections to the Mortis gods, the only person would be Abeloth. I know there's the Zepho thing that people have been talking about in the chat too today. The Zepho and how cool they are from Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. The Zepho worshipped the Force in a very different way than the Jedi, than the Sith, and even than the Nightsisters. They weren't nearly as powerful as what we're talking about now. And the Zepho have, at least to my knowledge, no connection to the Mortis gods. None. So that doesn't make sense either. And there's the opportunity that Baylan Skoll is looking for, the fountain of power and whatever they call it, the pools of water that made Abeloth the way that she is. And again, that wouldn't be calling to him. That a pool of water would not be capable of destroying an entire civilization, a kingdom, and making Peridia into a wasteland. So the other options, they don't really work. That's why Abeloth is the best option. I'm not saying that it's going to be Abeloth 100%, but I'm about 98% sure that it's going to be Abeloth. The 2% being maybe they throw something crazy at us, curveball, you think it's Abeloth, but it's really this. Maybe. But it can't be the Mortis gods. It can't be the Zepho. It can't be a pool of water, because a pool of water can't kill people unless, they all jump in the pool at the same time and, go for, a swim. But the only thing that I see is Abeloth. Yeah. Mike, did he say in the show that he was looking for a pool of water? Did he? No. I don't think so. No. The Big A's got to be in it. Is that her nickname? Are we calling her the Big A? I love it. I love it. Yeah. A guy who loves Abeloth. Honestly, not really even a big fan of Abeloth in Legends. Not my favorite character. Not even close. But how powerful she truly is would be pretty great. Would be pretty great. Yeah, Abeloth is the only explanation I can come up with either. So unless somebody has something else, and maybe we're missing it, I think all lines point to this being Abeloth. And it will be very interesting to see Ahsoka go toe-to-toe with... Oh, nope. Close that. I did not mean to do that. It'll be very interesting to... Why you do that? Very interesting to see Ahsoka go toe-to-toe with one of these droids when clearly whoever she's looking for, whoever Balin is looking for, had something to do with this. Something to do with these droids being dead already. Yeah. What was that noise? I accidentally clicked on an app at the bottom of my screen, and it needed an update, and then it was this whole thing, and yeah. Anakin's dead too, but I saw him glowing on Peridia. Mortis gods can achieve Force Ghost. Mortis gods can't achieve Force Ghost status, or something even greater that we don't know about, LOL. Well, my, I guess, rebuttal to that would be the Mortis gods all die in the Clone Wars, and we don't see them as Force Ghosts after that. Anakin dies in the Return of the Jedi, and we do see him as a Force Ghost. We know that he already exists as a Force Ghost. Now, the reason that Mortis gods, I don't think, have the capability of returning in Force Ghost form is that the reason for Anakin's existence is to take over the role of the Father. So that would mean that the Father, when he dies, cannot return to the same power that he was. If he needs a replacement, then he's clearly not powerful enough to stay alive forever. Yeah. What about Starkiller? Do I think Sam Witwer could be playing Starkiller in Ahsoka Season 2 since Anakin is the father, Ahsoka is the daughter, and Starkiller could be the son? I love Starkiller. Let me preface with that. I love me some Starkiller. I was actually just watching a clip on TikTok of The Force Unleashed, and I was like, damn, I should really replay this game. It's so good. But having said that, he's not that guy. Starkiller can never come to live action, or come to canon, I should say, because he's too powerful. And his existence would need an insane amount of retconning, because we have so much of this prequel to original trilogy timeline explored, specifically with the character of Vader, all the Vader comics, Kenobi, Rebels, Rogue One. Vader is everywhere, and we never see him have an apprentice. We have the Inquisitors, and never once do we see Starkiller. So at this point in the timeline, I think it's way too late. And not only that, he's too powerful. In the games, he literally kills Obi-Wan, Han Solo, Chewie, even Luke. So he's just too powerful to be kept alive. Starkiller, never gonna happen. Damien says, the prophecy misread. Yeah, the Chosen One prophecy is a whole lot of hoopla created by the Jedi to, make them feel good about themselves. Anakin is not the Chosen One. In terms of the Jedi. He is the Chosen One because he is supposed to take over the role of the Mortis gods, of the father of the Mortis gods. That's his true Chosen One prophecy. Not to bring balance to the Jedi Order. And some argue that he does because he kills all the Jedi and then kills Palpatine, bringing balance, but that would be a pretty harsh way to put it. Yeah. And you have the argument of, is he the Chosen One? Is Luke the Chosen One because he brings him back to the light? Yeah. Misread the prophecy was. Yeah. You could put Starkiller in a different spot in the galaxy, but that would completely change his story. He's supposed to be Vader's apprentice, and that would make him not Vader's apprentice. Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look at this because there's two other images here. It almost looks like an entranceway. This right here makes me think of the Bad Batch. You guys remember in the Bad Batch, season 2, was it? Where they find that giant, it was inside a mountain. It was buried inside a mountain. This giant droid that they activate and they're with Fee, the pirate girl that was Tech's girlfriend for a while until Tech died. R.I.P. Tech. They go into this giant robot, they activate it, and we pretty much never see anything about that ever again. People thought it was Zepho technology or maybe something else, something like that. That's what this reminds me of. They're going to enter inside the droid's body that's completely buried underground, and they're going to investigate it in there. Huh, I never noticed this. This is Ahsoka and Sabine, lightsabers ignited, ready to fight something. What the hell is that? Hang on, Chad. Enhance. So here's what we're looking at here. This really old droid head, giant droid head, that I assume Ahsoka and Sabine just went inside to investigate and now are coming back outside to be met by a foe. Maybe multiple foe. I think we have seen this image before, actually. I think you can kind of see a white hand right there in the very bottom right. I think they are coming out to be attacked, but by whom? By whom? Who the hell are these people? Maybe the Marauders? Possibly. Shin Hati and her Marauder gang? Possibly. I don't know. That is interesting. The Peridia side of this story is crazy. Like, it's very straightforward. It's very straightforward in our main galaxy. It's Thrawn versus the New Republic. Big old battle. Dathomir. It's going to be great. That's very, very straightforward. On Peridia, all hell breaks loose. We don't know a single thing that's going to go down. I mean, we can assume, but we don't know how it's going to go down, what new things will be introduced, if they're going to do Abeloth and explain that. Like, what is this? What are we looking at here? Crazy. A big fan of you? I appreciate that, Wolverine. Also, another question. Who do you think is the son? Oh, who do you think the son is, since Anakin is the father and Ahsoka is the daughter? It is a great question, and I don't know. My easy answer would be I don't know. If I were to speculate on it a little bit, I would say Baylan Skoll could be a good option because he and Ahsoka have very similar upbringings with the Jedi Order, and they go down very different paths, much like the son and the daughter had very similar upbringings and go down very different paths. So I liked Baylan Skoll a lot for the role. I liked Darth Maul. Granted, he's now dead, but he was dark side through and through. That's how, I mean, the son has to be the living embodiment of the dark side of the Force. So it can't really be somebody who's a good guy. I like Baylan Skoll a lot. I like Darth Maul. People like Ben Solo are kind of taken out because they're good guys at the end. Ezra Bridger, he's too good. He's too good. Yeah. So I like Baylan Skoll or Darth Maul personally. Ezra does go dark side, but he ends up being a good guy in the end. So it doesn't really, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. It also looks like a screaming skull. I just think it's deteriorated. Like it doesn't have all of its parts, Like this, just the nose piece is just missing. It's gone away over time. Because this could be, as this post suggests, thousands of years ago. Peridia could be a galaxy. We know that the Nightsisters, at least, in their existence, predate the Jedi. We know that they've been wielding the Force for a lot longer, and now we know that they come from a different galaxy. And this was the concept art from Star Wars Celebration, which we've already looked at. So this could be some sort of entrance right here. And they walk right in the entrance, and when they come back out, they are met with enemies. And actually, this piece right here that's poking out, that piece right there in the ground, could be that what looks to be like a goatee looking thing or a breathing apparatus or whatever it is. I guess droids don't need to breathe, but you know what I mean? That thing right there, that could be what's poking out of the ground in this image right there. So it's just removed. It's fallen off. Yeah. Now, interestingly enough, droids in Star Wars, they need maintenance, sure. So who would be maintaining these droids? I don't know. However, in season 1, we were introduced to the idea that wasn't really explained at all. Wasn't explained at all. Of Marok being controlled by Nightsister magic. This has been something set up since the Clone Wars, where when Savage Opress dies in the Clone Wars, when Palpatine shows up and is all badass and everything, when Savage dies, his body starts to just like emit green smoke, like it just exits is the word I'm looking for there, his body, and it's because the Nightsisters enhanced his appearance, enhanced his abilities with Nightsister magic. So when Marok dies in season 1 of Ahsoka and green smoke comes flying out of his body, we assume that either he's dead and brought back to life by Nightsister magic, or he's enhanced by Nightsister magic and he was injured or something. I don't know. Either way, is that a setup possibly for this second season to show that Abeloth or some sort of Nightsister magic is in control of these beings, of these droids, keeping them alive, keeping them moving around because they're controlled by Nightsister magic, and Marok was just the tease towards something bigger? Let me put it this way. Abeloth, if she's from Peridia, if she's from this galaxy, there's pretty much only one species or being that she could be, and that's a Nightsister. In Legends, Abeloth is not a Nightsister. She's just a mortal being, a mortal humanoid being. If you add the fact that not only is she a Mortis god, or a god, and with that ability, but she's also a Nightsister, wielding Nightsister magic, so she wields the Force a lot differently than we imagine, that could make her even more powerful. Because to the Jedi, to the Sith, to Ahsoka, the Nightsister magic is something that's sort of a mystery to them. So Abeloth could, in fact, in canon, be a Nightsister.
This is where the fun begins.
And her Nightsister magic could be keeping these droids alive or afloat, so to speak. And if this is all to be believed to be true, that Abeloth is in a prison, what the hell does a prison look like that's keeping that powerful of a being contained? Think about this for a second. When Ahsoka, Anakin, and Obi-Wan go to Mortis in the Clone Wars, they're transported there after getting knocked unconscious. And in the real world, they go away for a second. They're gone for days, what feels to them like days. But to Rex, they're off the radar for a blip, just for a split second. That's as long as they're gone for. So it's possible that inside this mountaintop, this glimmer of light at the top of the mountain, there could be an entrance to some faraway land like Mortis that is imprisoning Abeloth. And she can't exit that faraway land, just like the sun can't exit Mortis in the season of Clone Wars. There needs to be an explanation as to why and how you can imprison this being that's so powerful. And when it comes to the Mortis arc, and Mortis specifically as a location, it doesn't exist in the real world. It doesn't exist outside. It exists outside the living plane of existence. It's in the Force itself. And that's where they get transported to, this different realm. And now we're talking about different realms, chat. This is getting crazy. But inside this mountain, inside this prison, inside this temple, whatever you want to call it, there could be an entrance to that different realm, to Mortis, to somewhere outside of the living plane. My brain is hurting right now, but I'm trying to explain it the best I can. Outside the physical realm is this prison, is this land, much like Mortis. And that could allow us, I guess the normie fans as an audience, to get explanation for the Mortis gods. Because Ahsoka has been to this plane before. She has been outside of the physical realm multiple times, going to the world between worlds, but also to Mortis, where in the Clone Wars, she, Anakin, and Obi-Wan went there for multiple days and then came back like nothing ever happened. And by the way, the three of them keep that a secret to the rest of everybody else. They don't tell Yoda, they don't tell anybody. It's a kept secret between the three of them that they just don't tell anybody, which is pretty wild. But Ahsoka could be like, oh, I've been to a place like this before, and that will give us the explanation to how Sabine and Hu Yang are going to know about this place, and in turn telling the audience as well. I didn't even think about that. Honestly, I did not think about this. How on earth do you contain Abeloth? And I never thought about the fact that, yes, in Clone Wars, the three of them go to a different realm. They don't exist for a split second, but they're gone for days. Time doesn't work the same there. The same way that time doesn't work the same in the world between worlds. So all of this is very mysterious. It's very unexplainable right now, at least. And that's where we're heading in Ahsoka Season 2. Hu Yang is the key? I don't know about that. Are the normies watching this? The ratings for Ahsoka weren't that good. Ahsoka's pretty good, ratings-wise, I should say. When you compare it to The Mandalorian, it looks bad. But when you compare it to the other shows like Kenobi, like Book of Boba Fett, like Skeleton Crew and The Acolyte, the other live-action shows, Andor, it is towards the top of those shows. It is more towards the top of that list. So are normie fans going to understand this? Well, it depends on how well they explain it. I've always been of the mind, now I think, I'd like to think the average person is more intelligent than we give them credit for. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. When it comes to the best franchises, your Star Warses, your MCUs from 2008 to 2019, your Lord of the Rings, your Harry Potters, they don't dumb it down for their fans. They don't explain everything in excruciating detail for people who didn't pay attention. They don't do that. If you don't figure it out as you go, if you don't follow the story, if you don't pay attention, then you're going to be lost and it's not going to make any sense. And those franchises have been so successful, specifically Marvel. Think about Marvel, 25 movies over the course of 11 years. They all made billions upon billions of dollars. And there was a story from start to finish, from Iron Man 1 all the way to Avengers Endgame, that if you didn't pay attention, if you weren't following along, wouldn't make any sense. But they didn't dumb it down for the audience because the audience is not stupid. Same with Star Wars. The audience is not dumb, and you don't need to dumb it down for those people. However, there's a difference between dumbing down and not explaining. Because with Star Wars, there's live action and there's animation. And not everybody watches the animation side of things. And Ahsoka Season 1 was hit with this exact same problem. How do you explain the Ghost Crew? How do you explain Ezra and Thrawn in a different galaxy? How do you explain Purgle in this long history with these characters, including Ahsoka Tano, the titular character of the show, that only exists in animation? How do you explain that to fans who've never watched the animated side of things? That was the problem that arose for Ahsoka Season 1, and they did it so well. You can watch Ahsoka Season 1 without having seen a single second of the Clone Wars, without having seen a single second of Rebels, and it's explained perfectly fine to any normie fan who's watching Ahsoka for the first time ever and not having seen any other Star Wars ever. It can make sense. They talk about her master, teasing that her master is a very important person, blah, blah, blah. And then when she gets to the world between worlds, Anakin says, "Hey, Snips," and then she says, "Master." So there's zero confusion there. That's her master. He's the one who just saved her, and all that is easily consumed by a normie fan. But to the hardcore fan, you go, "Holy crap, that's Anakin and Ahsoka meeting for the first time in live action, master and apprentice. This is wild. Oh my God, this is insane." So they played that line very, very well. allowing a normie fan for this to be their first ever experience with Star Wars, while also having the hardcore fans pleased and losing their freaking minds. To do that with Ahsoka Season 2 is going to be a lot more difficult. Because you have to explain the Mortis gods to normie fans while also not dumbing it down for hardcore fans. That's difficult. You're going to have to explain Abeloth to normie fans. I guess you're going to have to explain Abeloth to hardcore fans too, because her canon version is going to be different than her Legends version. So I suppose that's a little bit different. But either way, if we're talking about this temple, this glimmer of light at the mountaintop that Baylan Skoll is looking at in Season 1, if we're talking about that being an entrance to a different realm, like Mortis was in the Clone Wars, that's going to take a whole lot of explanation. And again, they can't dumb it down for the fans, but they also need to explain it because it's not going to make any sense at all. There's a very, very thin line in Star Wars between over-explanation and not enough explanation. For example, Yoda's species. We don't need to know Yoda's species. We know that he's very, very powerful. We know that there's only few of them, but we don't need those questions answered. For example, the world between worlds. We know that it's a conduit between the living and the dead. That's exactly the description we were given. We know that living people and dead people can exist in there in the same physical realm, but in the same realm, but it's not the physical realm that we know and love. We know that there's portals to other time periods, but it's not time travel. We know it's not a place where you can exist and find a teleportation. It's not teleportation. We'll put it that way. And yet, we don't even know what the world between worlds is. We don't know what that plane of existence is, or how Anakin is able to appear physically there. We don't know the full extent of the power of the world between worlds, who can and can't enter it, and if there's an entrance everywhere. We don't know. But there's a very, very small line of trying to go in between those things. Yeah. Sat Strat, 51 minutes late. Damn it. It's all right. I started early. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Yeah. Big man. I am a big man. Do you know about Voss? Quinlan Voss? I love me some Quinlan Voss. Imagine if Ahsoka Season 2 ends with Ahsoka dying and they pull a Rogue One. That would be a shock. Yes, Ahsoka has lived a long time. She's a lot older now. We've seen her from her teen days with Anakin and training under the Chosen One, supposedly. Training under the Chosen One and, you know, her whole journey into becoming a rebel and all that. We've seen a lot of Ahsoka. That's how we started this live stream, talking about Ahsoka's overuse, which I completely disagree with. But we've seen a lot of Ahsoka. She has been brought back to life 3 times. Okay, maybe she didn't die all 3 times, but she was brought back, given a second chance, a third chance, a 4th chance at life. That needs to be given a purpose. That needs to have a reason to it. So I don't think if she dies, she will die, if that makes sense. I think she has a purpose here on Peridea. Maybe a death will serve that purpose, and she will be more powerful, as Obi-Wan suggests, in the afterlife. Strike me down and I will become more powerful than you could possibly imagine. Maybe that's like how it works. Ahsoka sort of just becomes one with the Force. That's a possibility. But I think more importantly, she will remain on Peridea for whatever the cause is, whatever her destiny is. Because that destiny is clearly on this planet and connected to whatever Baylan Skoll is looking for. Yeah. All right, let's put up a poll. Since you guys are talking about it, let's put up a poll. By the way, 91% of you guys are excited for Ahsoka. That's what I like to see. That's what I like to see. All right, let's do this. Whoop. What the hell was that? No, cancel. Do you think Ahsoka Tano will die in Ahsoka Season 2? Now, let me preface this. I don't think she will die in Ahsoka Season 2. I know, Mike, the guy who kills everybody off I don't know how I got that reputation. I don't kill anybody off. But
Incorrect.
do we think Ahsoka's going to die in season 2? I don't think she will. I think her purpose is to be a living being for a little bit longer at least, and her purpose is to protect the galaxy from whatever this threat remains that remains on Peridia. So tell me what you think in the chat. She was a Force ghost in Rise of Skywalker. Yes and no. She was not a Force ghost in Rise, but she was a voice that called out to Rey. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to be dead by the time of Rise of Skywalker. She could be calling out through the Force from some other location. Yes, everybody else who calls out to Rey is in fact dead. Luke, Leia, Anakin, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Kanan, and others. Yoda. A lot of people. They're all dead, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Ahsoka is dead too. She could be on Peridia doing something else that's more important. That's the biggest thing too. If Ahsoka does survive the events of the Mandoverse, she does survive the events between the originals and the sequels, there needs to be a big enough explanation as to why, yet again, she's not involved with the happenings of another trilogy. Because she's not in the prequels, she's not in the originals, and she's not in the sequels. And you can argue, oh, it's because her character wasn't around yet, but that doesn't explain the in-universe explanation. When it comes to the prequels, she was on Mandalore at the Siege of Mandalore fighting Darth Maul. That's a great explanation as to why she's not involved with Revenge of the Sith. And she had left the Jedi Order at that point. In the originals, it's not fully explained why she doesn't help out. At least not yet. We know that she went to train Sabine, and then that failed. And then she was off looking for Thrawn, at least after the fact, but we don't know where she was. And in the sequels, we definitely don't know where she is. We assume that she'll remain on Peridia, but that hasn't been explained yet. Yeah. Jack, what's up? How we doing? So, will Ahsoka die in season 2? I don't think so. But her purpose will be made very, very clear. Very clear. And that's why Peridia will be all so important. So, going back to this leak, we go from a concept art image to what could be thousands of years old relic / deteriorating metal helmet of a droid on Peridia, which indicates there could be this huge war which turned this place from a kingdom of Nightsisters to a wasteland. And Abeloth might be the one behind all of it, but whatever is behind all of it will be at this glimmer of light on the mountaintop where you find a alive and well version of the same droid. So yeah, these leaks for Ahsoka Season 2 just keep getting crazier. Maybe she's on AT-ATN? Nah. Can't say I've heard of no AT-ATN. AT-ATN's not really a missing planet anymore. No. I think Ahsoka Season 2 will link nicely, into the games. Into the Jedi games, you're saying? I don't know. Cal Kestis, I could see appearing in Season 2. But he would be in the main galaxy. He wouldn't be on Peridia. He wouldn't be helping out Ahsoka. He'd be helping out the Ghost crew and the people on Dathomir. The New Republic people on Dathomir. So he wouldn't really be a part of this side of the story, but he could be very well be a part of the other side. Yeah. I say it's Darth Mike. Guys, if I was inside the mountain, I would tell you. I'd tell you. Actually, no, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. Yeah. George Lucas wanted her to die? I have not heard that. But if he did, I'm sure it was because she doesn't appear in Rise of Skywalker. I mean, Revenge of the Sith. Yeah. Hang on. I love the name Oxygen Breather. And I don't like the fact that he calls me big man. I'm not that big. This is me standing next to Hayden Christensen. I'm only towering over him. Okay. Sorry, Hayden. Let's see. No, Voss is a planet inhabited by an independent force group who are capable of seeing into the future. They're mentioned in Star Wars The Old Republic Legends. They're only mentioned in Star Wars The Old Republic in Legends. Voss. Let me see. Voss. Planet in Star Wars. Let's see. Let us see. Voss. Again, Legends. Voss was a terrestrial planet in the Voss system. Whoa, crazy. Located in the allied Tion sector of the Outer Rim territories, so in the Outer Rim. Originally only having one native sentient species known as the Gormak, the planet was discovered by the ancient Sith who used Voss for its resources until the Jedi arrived to drive them off, seeking allies among the natives. The Jedi taught some of the Gormak tribes on how to use the Force. That's pretty wild. Okay. But those Gormak were unprepared for those tribes evolved into different looking species named the Voss. Let's take a look at these guys. That's creepy as hell. That's creepy as hell. $36,000 BBY. 3,600 BBY. I don't really see how this would connect to Ahsoka. Let's go back. I don't really see how this could connect to Ahsoka. Army of Cyber Beasts. Okay, interesting. Let me see a Cyber Beast. Well, that's creepy as hell. Yeah, I don't really see that. I don't see that appearing in Ahsoka. But it would be interesting to see if Voss is on the galaxy map. Do we know that? Do we know? Does Quinlan Voss come from Voss? No, but I'm sure that his name is based off of that. Okay. Getting back to this leak. Stuff like this is what has me so ridiculously excited for Ahsoka Season 2, because on Peridia, anything is possible. The new, the crazy, the groundbreaking, all can happen on this planet because it exists outside the main galaxy. So we can do stuff that's absolutely insane, like giant sentient droids that are protecting a possible prison for a different dimension or a different plane of existence where Abeloth is being imprisoned. We can have insane stuff like a wasteland and maybe even flashbacks to a massive war for the Nightsisters versus Abeloth or versus Mortis gods or whatever they're fighting that turns this place from a kingdom to a wasteland, like Baylan Skoll explains to us in Season 1. Do you think we'll see Mara Jade? I'm going to say no, but that actually does perfectly transition us from this to the next thing. So let's talk about this for a second. Mara Jade. Let me Star Wars Starfighter gets a huge update. And it's not really a one that I was hoping for. Huge Star Wars rumor gets official response ahead of the 2027 release of Star Wars Starfighter. There's a new Star Wars movie coming, and one of the biggest rumors about the film has been shot down. There hasn't been a Star Wars movie since Rise of Skywalker in 2019. Instead, the franchise has been focused on its Disney Plus output. We know that, blah, 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 blah. This year, The Mandalorian and Grogu hits theaters as a sequel to the streaming series, and will lead to a 2027, which has Sean Levy directing and Ryan Gosling starring in Star Wars Starfighter. There's been a lot of rumors that Daisy Ridley would be back as Rey in Starfighter, but that does not appear to be the case. In an interview with Screen Rant, screenwriter Jonathan Tropper, who is the lead writer for this movie, was talking about his new comedy, The Wrecking Crew, and he was asked about Star Wars Starfighter. And he said that he and Sean Levy wrote a completely new story and weren't bound by any structures from past movies. This also means they didn't need to bother with bringing back familiar faces, as he said this. I'm so careful not to reveal anything, but essentially, I think it's known that we have no legacy characters, and you're not going to see any of the characters you've seen in the other movies. Sorry. So there are certainly things that are still hallmarks of Star Wars, and that's good to have in there. But more than that, I can't say. So he, of course, doesn't want to give too much away. He says no legacy characters. And then he goes on to say, you're not going to see any of the characters you've seen in the other movies. Now, stop me if I'm reaching too far. But first and foremost, movies? Does that mean we'll see TV show characters? We know that Darth Talon seems to be getting set up in Maul Shadowlord, which comes out in a couple months. Could we be seeing her as Mia Goth, and this was all just a Uno reverse card? Or is he saying that other characters from Legends, not legacy characters, but Legends, such as Mara Jade, could be appearing? The biggest rumor that we have for Starfighter is that Amy Adams, the legendary actress Amy Adams, who does indeed have red hair, is going to be playing a former Jedi, and that her son is being played by Flynn Gray, in one of the main characters of this movie, is going to be Force sensitive as well, and that's why he's being hunted down. But at this time in the galaxy, who would be hunting down a Force user? And who would Amy Adams be playing? As you guys know, I immediately see the red hair and I go immediately to Mara Jade. And Mara Jade would indeed fit the description. She's not a legacy character because she hasn't been introduced to the canon of Star Wars yet, and she has not been seen in any Star Wars movie or show. She'd be a completely brand new character to most, not to all, but to most. So maybe I'm looking too far into this, but the fact that he said other movies indicates that maybe shows, and the fact that he said characters that haven't appeared in other movies indicates that Mara Jade is very much on the table still. Maybe not, but possibly. Because even if it is Mara Jade, even if this Flynn Gray kid is playing Luke Skywalker's son, it doesn't mean that we're seeing legacy characters. Luke's not in it. His son is. It doesn't mean that it's a character from a movie we've seen before, because Luke's son is not in a movie we've seen before. Mara Jade is not in a movie we've seen before. So I think the way he phrased this was a little crazy. Love it or hate it, the Rey trilogy is still one of the highest grossing movie franchises in history. Yeah. I don't know about the Rey trilogy, but the sequel trilogy is the second highest grossing trilogy of all time. Correct. Yeah. And a post-sequel trilogy, Rey won't be the main character. She'll be the mentor character, but she won't be the main character. So Daisy Ridley's return is not going to be as the main character. We'll put it that way. So he can't say too much, but he gives us a lot of information. And then, yeah, what happened to legacy characters? People think we could be seeing, Mia Goth as Darth Talon or Matt Smith as somebody significant, but at least according to Jonathan, that is no longer the case. So with that being said, tell me in the chat, do you think that Amy Adams is playing Mara Jade? Actually, let's pull this up. You know what? Let's pull it up. And do you think we will see any familiar characters, not legacy characters, not characters who've appeared in movies before, but a familiar name, a familiar face that we've seen before on a TV show or in Legends. What do we think? What do we think? And let me put a poll. Do you think Amy Adams is playing Mara Jade? Yes or no? Yes or no? What do we think? What do we think? Grossing? LOL. They didn't make any money on the last movie. Rise of Skywalker movie cost $600 million plus and $600 million to market. Those numbers are far and away off. The most expensive sequel trilogy movie was The Force Awakens, and that was only $340, $360, something like that. Yeah, so try half of that, maybe $600 million total for marketing and the movie, and then it made what, 1.1 million, a billion? Sorry. Yeah. Mara will be her name, but it will be different. Yeah, so it would be like a Thrawn type scenario. It would be like a Darth Talon type scenario. You're bringing over a Legends character, but changing them for canon. I'd be fully down with that. If Mara Jade isn't married to Luke Skywalker, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But if she is, I'd also be okay with that. Yeah, I'd be perfectly fine if Flynn Gray is playing Luke Skywalker's child. Let me put that out there. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Can you talk about the Ben Solo movie? Do you think Anakin could save Ben Solo in The World Between Worlds as he did with Ahsoka? Yes. I think it would be Luke, though, but yes. I do. I do indeed. Okay. Let me go to this quickly, and then we'll talk the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, because that's, more important than this and more, I guess, prevalent than this. But let's talk about this. So Taika Waititi finally gave an update on his movie because, Kathleen Kennedy has stepped down as president, and Dave Filoni and Lin-Manuel Brennan are now co-presidents. And when Kathleen Kennedy did her exit interview, she said that the Taika Waititi script, not trailer, script has been written, and she loves it. She thinks it's hilarious, and it's great. That's what she said. I'm so sick of this Mara Jade thing. Well, we haven't even been introduced to her yet, so don't get sick of it too much. Okay. All right. Take a look at this.
I'm just trying to sort of go back and harness a little more of the fun, from the original films, which is what I remember. Them, the stakes were very high, and there were serious things going on, but also there was a lot of fun to be had in those films, and so that's what I was trying to bring back.
Are you interested in using the characters that exist before, or are you really interested in creating new characters?
I was trying to just work in a world where, it felt a little bit separate to that, because they've got so many things going on which are still within that space, and I just feel like, for me to do something there, it would need to be a little different and a little bit more its own thing.
So, from what we know about his movie when it was announced 6 years ago, or whatever it was, 5 years ago, it's not going to take place in the Skywalker's timeline, or Skywalker saga. So, it would make sense that this movie is going to maybe be post-sequels, but I think it's going to be a pre-prequels movie. He just wants to find a place outside of the Skywalker saga so he can pretty much tell a story that he wants to tell. He does talk about how he wants to get back to the original trilogy feel of things and how it's a fun action adventure. The stakes are still really, really high. Galaxy is in trouble type. This changes everything. A giant Death Star is about to kill the rebellion, and the whole galaxy is going to be doomed forever. Billions of people have died in this movie, but it feels like a fun action adventure, even though billions upon billions have died. That's the tone he's looking for. But it would focus on new characters and be its own thing. Now, tell me in the chat, do you want Taika Waititi to make a Star Wars movie? I know there are a lot of people that have a bad taste in their mouth from Taika Waititi, and that is Thor: Love and Thunder. But you're also talking about a guy who made Thor: Ragnarok. You're also talking about a guy who's already worked on Star Wars. He's not only the voice of IG-11, but he is a director of episodes of The Mandalorian. Specifically, I know he directed at least the finale of season 1. Was it the finale or the second to last episode? One of those two. Either way, he's already worked on Star Wars. That's the biggest thing for me. Do you have Star Wars experience? That's why Simon Kinberg's trilogy has me so excited. He co-created Star Wars Rebels, which is one of the greatest things of all time. So the fact that he has worked on Star Wars before, with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, by the way, with The Mandalorian, and he's voiced a character in Star Wars, I think with Dave Filoni involved, because he's the president now, he could make something great. Outside the Skywalker saga, too, would be awesome. So I'm fully down for it. I'm not the biggest hater on Thor: Love and Thunder. It's not my favorite movie by any means. I like Thor: Ragnarok a whole lot better, but he also made Thor: Ragnarok. So people just sort of forget about that for some reason. But I'm fully down for it. I can't wait to see what he has to do in Star Wars. It'd be nice if he went back in time instead of post-sequels, because we're getting a lot of post-sequel stuff. Rey movie, Kinberg trilogy, Starfighter. So we shall see. We shall see. But that's a little bit of an update that Taika Waititi's given us right there. And now let's talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu. Let's talk Mando and Grogu. So we are of the mind that this trailer will drop at the Super Bowl. That's been the big rumor. Everybody's been saying it. The Super Bowl is where we're going to get a Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. And I still think that is possible, or is still going to happen, I should say. This countdown that we watched, the leaked countdown video from about a month or two ago, the IMAX countdown video, apparently is now released online. Is that on the Star Wars YouTube channel? Hang on. Let me check. It is not. I don't know where that is, but it is out now in HD. So you can, like the countdown thing here. That was for the IMAX countdown. I don't know where it is, but it's definitely out there. So there's that. But this is the big rumor that is happening right now. Wait, where is it? What the hell? I thought I just had it right there. What the heck? Hang on. So this report is coming from the Beyonder, I think. Let me see. I swear I saved this. I guess I didn't. There was a Disney event yesterday, and Din and Grogu were there. There you go. That's pretty cool. Aha, here we go. From the Beyond Reporter. The new Mandalorian and Grogu trailer is expected to arrive next week. Now, next week is not the Super Bowl, because that's on the 8th, February 8th. So that's in at least 2 weeks from now. Or, yeah, just under 2 weeks from now. But next week would give you the trailer before the Super Bowl. Before. Now, it's possible that they tease the Super Bowl. I was just watching football this last weekend, and all they did was tease Super Bowl ads. Like, they started an ad and then was like, watch the full thing at the Super Bowl or whatever, stupid stuff like that. So maybe they do that with The Mandalorian and Grogu, but I honestly don't. Like, they could just release the trailer early online and then release it at the Super Bowl too. Was that a new Mando uniform? What? Hang on. I don't think so. Looks the same to me. Huh, you can see behind him, this is the Adelphi base. You can see it like a part of an X-Wing or something hanging on the wall right there. That's pretty cool. Okay. So, if this report is true and we are in fact getting a trailer next week before the Super Bowl, That'd be pretty damn hype. I mean, The Mandalorian and Grogu has been such a mystery. We've talked about 1,000,001 different Ahsoka leaks. For The Mandalorian, it's been very, very quiet. Even the leaks are like very far and few between. So, or few and far between. I said that backwards. Either way, the only trailer that we have that was released publicly, because there's a bunch of leaked trailers, the one from Star Wars Celebration, the one from Zootopia 2, the one from Avatar that was released with the movie, but the only publicly released trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu was the one in September. Was the one months and months ago. September, October, November, December, January, and well, I guess we're in January still. 5 months ago. 5 months ago. So this movie comes out on May 22nd, so less than 4 months from now. And we only have one official trailer. So I think the Super Bowl, of course, will give us a trailer, but getting one next week would be awesome too. If they want to double up the trailer, even if it's the same trailer, it'll make my job easier because I'll be watching the Super Bowl. But we'll see. We shall see. Either way, within the next 2 weeks, within the next quick maths, is there 31 days in January? Yeah, right? No. Wait, what? Is it 30 or 31? I don't even know. But it's 31, right? Yeah, so 31 days. So within the next 12 days, is that right? Holy crap. Within the next 12 days, we will be getting a Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. Now that's exciting. That is exciting. Imagine if Grogu could run like the Roadrunner with using the Force. No.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Okay. No, thank you. By the way, this poll right now in the chat says 55, 53, 53 to 42. Or that's not math. 53 to 47. 53% of you saying no, you don't think Amy Adams is playing Mara Jade. 47 saying yes. We are almost split completely down the middle. 50-50. That'd be wild. Imagine if Grogu could speak. Oh, he will be speaking. I think he'll say his first words in the movie. But, yeah. We shall see. We shall see. Okay. We talked about that. There is... Oh, this is the other Mandalorian and Grogu news. So 2026, the Mandalorian movie will improve on the show in one exciting way, confirms Mando actor. So we talked about this a little bit on Saturday's stream, but let's talk about it more. Lateef Crowder, one of the physical actors who brings Din Djarin to life in The Mandalorian and the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, talked about what fans can expect from the upcoming 2026 movie and how it will be better than the Disney Plus series. So, you know how great Mando Season 2 is? You know how much people love the first season of The Mandalorian? And I think Season 3 is extremely underrated. It's going to be better than that. Better than that. Wild. Okay. Mandalorian and Grogu releasing on May 22nd. We know that. Will be the first Star Wars movie to be released since 2019. So over almost 6 years. Almost 7 years. It will have been 6 years. Continuing the Din Djarin and Grogu storyline established in the Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian. In an interview with Chris and Company on the podcast, which we did watch before, he does reveal that it will be groundbreaking and is going to blow people's minds. So he said this, oh yeah, oh man, this one thing I learned, you can't even hint anything at all, especially with these guys, Star Wars fans, that is, and these fans. But yeah, it's always hard because you want to. I'm excited about what we did, and I know what we did is going to be groundbreaking. I know what we did is going to blow people's minds, which is always great to hear. He is one of the people who brings Din Djarin to life with Brendan Wayne, who's the other physical actor for Din Djarin, because Pedro Pascal is pretty much just the voice now, except for when you see his face. He went on to say He wants people to be surprised, as he says this. Even whatever people are saying and whatever they're predicting out there, oh, not going to be good, or it's going to be great, or whatever that is. I know what it's going to be. And so it's pretty hard to keep it a secret. But at the same time, I don't want people to actually know, because you don't want to give away the surprise, and I don't want to give too much away. I want people to be surprised. And I don't know if they're going to say it in here. Oh, bigger than the series. We'll get to that in a sec. But keeping it a surprise. They've done a pretty good damn job of that. Keeping this movie a surprise. We don't know pretty much anything about this. Anything. So when it comes to the box office for this movie, depending on how big the surprise is, think about The Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 1. Think about when Grogu was introduced. How big that was. Breaking the internet. Everybody and their dog went and got a Disney Plus subscription to go watch The Mandalorian. Star Wars was back. It was this whole big thing because of Grogu. Because of one specific surprise at the end of Season 1, Episode 1. If they can pull that off again, if they can recreate that same hype with a surprise in this movie, not marketing it at all, just for the people who go see the movie, they see this crazy surprise and they tell everybody because it was so mind-blowing, it was so awesome. Word of mouth is a huge deal for movies. If you go see a movie and then you go tell everybody you know that they have to see this movie because it's that good, there's this huge twist surprise that you will not see coming, all that stuff. It will break the internet. That's what we want. We want them to recapture it. Recapture that greatness that was with Season 1. An Embo cameo? Well, the Embo thing was leaked a long time ago. And Embo being in the show would be great, but I don't know. Not that I really want to see Embo. I just hope he's not the main villain. Yeah. Should Grogu talk like Yoda? No. Definitely not. Yoda talks like that because of his master. Now that, I think, is legend still, too. But we've seen Yaddle, who's also a Yoda species. Yaddle speaks normally. It's actually Bryce Dallas Howard is the voice. So we've seen her speak normally, so it seems like, yeah, we'll have Grogu speak normally, I think. I'd be shocked if he spoke in riddles. I don't think so. So he goes on to say it's a lot bigger than the series. One thing I will say is that there's a lot of great action. A lot bigger than the series. Now, this is a series that has plenty of action. Plenty. I mean, Season 1 and 2 alone have Luke Skywalker showing up and saving the day with a lightsaber, have Boba Fett coming back from the dead and smashing Stormtroopers' helmets. In the first season, you have the TIE Fighter chase with Din Djarin and the TIE Fighter. In Season 3, it's way bigger. You have the battle for Navarro. You have the battle for Mandalore. There's so many huge fight scenes. To be bigger than that in only 2 hours is going to be pretty difficult to accomplish. But he says a lot bigger than the series. So hopefully people will be very proud, and I'm very proud, blah, blah, blah. He goes on to say that. Yeah. Then he goes on to talk about how big a fan he is of Star Wars, blah, 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 which we talked about already. So that's exciting. The Mandalorian and Grogu got me hyped up. Yeah. Danny DeVito for Grogu voice acting?
Incorrect.
No, thank you. Okay. With that, let's do what we've all been waiting for. Honestly, like,
Times have changed. I will show you the galaxy for what it truly is. See things from a new perspective.
Is this what our future holds?
Can I get some good cups, follow orders in the chat, please? Can I get some good cups, follow orders in the chat, please? Bumpa!
Always running.
I invite you to look more closely.
What are we dealing with?
Good question. And I offer you an opportunity.
Maul.
We have all been made to suffer. We survive, but do not live. The Emperor wants you dead. Chains can be broken.
Hang on!
And empires can be shattered.
Yeah. Yeah. So exciting. Now, I will say, somebody brought it up in the Discord. If you guys are not yet in the Discord, there's a link in the description below to a Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. Go join it immediately. But somebody brought this up in the Discord. The lightsaber, that's half of Maul's lightsaber, and that he is sort of, at the tea ceremony, when he's talking to this Devin Izara character, that lightsaber is the exact same lightsaber as Asajj Ventress's in Dark Disciple. Let me show you this. Let me show you this. Somebody brought up in the chat, though, something interesting. What was it? Oh, somebody said, how does Mike get away with this all the time, showing trailers and clips all the time? Weird. The best part about Disney, the best part about Lucasfilm, shout out to you guys are awesome, is they let you react to trailers. Watch them take down this video. No. They let you react to trailers. I don't get the other companies that don't let you do it, because it's literally just promotion for your own project. Like, me reacting to it is only going to make people more excited to go watch it. Companies, I remember DC specifically was shutting down people who were reacting to their trailers, who were getting hyped up for their DC movies. That's like mind-blowingly dumb. Why would you do that? So shout out to Lucasfilm, shout out to Disney for not taking down people's trailers' reactions, because it's promotion. Like, that just makes sense. So, yeah. Okay. Continuing. Let me see if I can find this. In the Discord, somebody brought this up. Let me give credit where credit is due. It was... Shit, how long ago was this? I thought it was pretty recently, no? Where was this? What the heck? Does anybody know where this was in the Discord? I could have sworn it was like right there. All right, let me see if I can. Oh, there it is. Found it. Okay. Shout out to Kyler. It was Kyler. Okay. Shout out to Kyler. Take a look at this. Oh, I'm pressing too many wrong buttons today. Shout out to Kyler. Check this out. This is our lightsaber from the trailer. This is the lightsaber from the trailer. You can clearly see, nice design. It's got these lines up here. It's got the sort of the fence-looking, great-looking thing right there. Nice little grip there, and that. It's not double-bladed. It's not Maul's double-sided lightsaber, at least not yet. And it's got a red kyber crystal, or at least trailer magic. It looks to be a red kyber crystal inside of it. This is Asajj Ventress's lightsaber from the Dark Disciple. So it's got the same lines up here. It's got, the great looking thing there. It's got a handle down there. Is it the exact same lightsaber? I mean, it's got a little bit darker there, so maybe not. But that's, I guess, this is a coloring issue. This is a coloring error. It's the exact same design lightsaber, that's for damn sure. So the question becomes, did Maul obtain Asajj Ventress's lightsaber? This is the lightsaber that Asajj had before she dies. So in the Dark Disciple novel before the end of the Clone Wars. And then Maul somehow ends up with it? Could this be indicating that Asajj Ventress is in the show? I'd say it looks very similar. I thought Asajj Ventress bought hers on the black market. She could have. And then she dies. So Maul has it after Asajj does. Because the Asajj Ventress lightsaber now, Asajj Ventress Tails lightsaber. The lightsaber that she has after Order 66 is another curved one. Yeah. Check this out. This lightsaber that she has in Tales of the Underworld and in the Bad Batch Season 3 is another curved hilt, like her master and like her old one, right there. Very curved, very different. So she gets a different lightsaber after she comes back to life. Interesting. Either way, that is very, very strange. So shout out to Kyler for noticing that. This lightsaber is very, very similar to that. And could it just be a coincidence? Maybe, but I think not. Asajj Ventress could be in Maul's Shadow Lord regardless, but if her lightsaber's involved, it's definitely more evidence to suggest that she could be. 100%. 100%. By the way, this poll, 57% to 43%. Whoa, 57% of you guys, that swayed quickly. Think that Amy Adams will be playing Mara Jade. That'll be nice. That'll be nice. Where do we think Quinlan is? Somewhere else. Tales of the Underworld suggests that those two will not be together any longer. Quinlan would be nice to see, though, again. Because he's sort of, a fan favorite character who would be cool to see in live action. I guess he's kind of in live action in The Phantom Menace, but you know what I mean. He gets it from her grave when he goes to Dathomir. Could be, but that doesn't... We don't know that Quinlan Vos leaves it on Dathomir. We don't know what happened to her old lightsaber. I don't know. Maybe the show will explain it. Maybe the show will explain. All right. But with that being said, I do have to get on out of here a little bit earlier today. I do have something in the afternoon. That's why we were early today. But if you are not yet already, go join that Discord. There's a link in the description below to a Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. Go join it immediately. The missing head on Peridia may not be the son, but the daughter? What? The missing head is definitely the daughter. On the daughter statue? Okay. But smash a freaking like in this stream if you have not already. Quinlan Vos being in Jedi 3, that would be awesome. Or even Asajj Ventress in the third Jedi game would be sick too. Either way, smash a freaking like in this stream if you have not already. Hit that subscribe. The Ahsoka Season 2 leaks just keep on coming, and they keep getting better. They keep getting better. But until next time, keep the conversation going in the Discord. Watch out for a short later on today. And yeah, may the Force be with you. Always. Who broke my hyperdrive? Oh yeah, what a great stream, what a great show. Chopper, fix the hyperdrive already, buddy. My God, you're so useless around here. All right, but we'll get on that maybe if Chopper ever gets off his ass. Okay, but with that being said, when is the giveaway? Either Thursday or Saturday. I'm not quite sure. One of those two. But until then, hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your lives, and good night, everybody.